Hey there, welcome to Touch Freedom. If you're listening to this, you're part of the militia. So who's this crazy guy in the woods with a beard and glasses and a camo hat? And why is he here and why we should be listening to him right now? Well, I've got a long and sordid past. I've served in the military for many, many years. I got out of the military, I've been in business, and I'm just an American citizen that's frustrated as hell by everything that's going on in the world today, in our country today. I'm sick of the partisan politics. I'm sick of everything about it. I'm disgusted with the presidential debate, the presidential race. The only people that are losing in this race are us, the American people. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, black, white, Asian, doesn't matter, Native American, come on down. We want you all here. This is going to be a place where we seek out truth. We want to try to see if we can find what America is really about. And if it's something that has been broken, something about America that's been broken, we want to fix it. I want to fix it. I want you to be a part of that process. I am so sick of it. I've been watching YouTube video after YouTube video. I've been listening to Grandmaster Jay of the NFAC. I've been listening to right-wingers talking about the apocalypse. I have listened to it all and I'm just frustrated. I just want to be left alone. How about you? Do you want to be left alone? I sure do. I had to tell you, I listen to some of these videos and sometimes I listen to a guy like Grandmaster Jay of the NFAC, and I got to tell you, he brings up a lot of good points. That group was formed with Breonna Taylor in mind, and there's a whole bunch of facts surrounding that. But the reality of it is that I like that a group of people got together and exercised their Second Amendment rights and did it peacefully. He's doing something right. He's got some people with him. He's doing something right, and he's trying to affect some change in a peaceful manner, thinking about organizing people to leave the United States because he's just not satisfied with it. Okay, no problem. Have passport, will travel. Got it. And I respect that. I may not agree with him 100% on his observations, but I definitely appreciate his methodology, and I'm all about it. And on the other side of the spectrum, you know, I listen to people like Candace Owens, and it makes me a little angry because we have a woman who I actually respect quite a bit because she talks about the issues in the black community that are really about the black community getting fixed, but at the same time, boy, she's over there bootlicking the thin blue line. And I support my police officers and law enforcement, but let's face it, America, after 9/11, when the Patriot Act happened, boy, our rights got steamrolled. And it makes me mad as a veteran that something like a name, the Patriot Act, was used to take away our freedoms. Out of the Patriot Act, we got the Homeland Security, we got FEMA coming together with Homeland Security, we've got all kinds of governmental overreach in terms of surveillance. Mr. Snowden told us all about that. But you know, if we're relying on the mainstream media to help us to understand these things, we're looking up the wrong tree. In fact, I'd be surprised if you're even listening to this YouTube video because it's probably going to get taken down. It's just, you know, truth. And who wants to hear truth in a country or in a world that is marching towards authoritarianism? And that's not to say that I'm against Trump, pro-Trump, for Trump, doesn't matter about Trump, Biden, all of them, the rest, they're not really that important. They're all bringing us, the American people, to the same place, and I'm sick of it. I want American citizens to live in harmony. I want us to have our own experience as the founders intended it. Were the founders flawed? Did they own slaves? Hell yeah, they owned slaves. A lot of countries and cultures own slaves. It doesn't mean that the whole frickin' edifice of the government is wrong. We have the longest constitutional republic in world history, and it's something to be defended. And I absolutely support the Constitution and the government that we have built. It's the best one ever. It's not perfect, but it is the best one out there by far. The problem is that the American people have lost the ability or the desire or something about educating themselves as a true republic would demand. The other thing, of course, is that our ethics are in the toilet. And I think most people watching this would agree that our ethical mooring is undone in the United States. If you don't think that's true, then probably you don't belong listening here, because I think it really, really is. And it's really kind of caused a lot of problems for us here in the United States. it merely makes me think about what it is that we're trying to recreate here as we get through the CV-19 and all the other stuff that's going on. I would call it social experiment that's going on. Sure, do I think there's a CV-19 out there? Yes. Has it hurt some people? Definitely. Do I think it requires the kind of lockdown that we've had? I don't think so. Now, according to the CDC, the actual mortality rate of this thing is slightly above the flu. Yes, there's some people that are more at risk than others, but young people, middle-aged people, people that are generally healthy don't have anything to worry about. But yet here we are, the whole country's locked down in one way, shape, or form. They're claiming 200,000 people have died as a result of it. I'm not even sure if the reporting on that is 100% correct, but let's just call it that it is. We have a problem, and I'm really concerned about what's next. Is it going to be a police state? Is it going to be a police state because Black Lives Matter, the movement has started burning down cities, and Antifa has done that mess, and that's just an excuse for the tanks and the Humvees and the Bearcats and all the military equipment to roll through? Probably. Is the government interested in taking away our guns? Most definitely. I live in a state here where that's happens on a regular basis, and it's frustrating. Laws are passed in the middle of the night and with no input on the people, and here we are. So we have all kinds of moving streams here in this culture that we're living in. We have a movement called Black Lives Matter, which of course on the face of it, boy, that sounds good. I support that 100%. But Black Lives Matter, the movement, corrupt, Maoist, anti-black man, anti-traditional family by their own definition. By their own definition. That's not me making this up. That's them saying who they are. And when somebody tells you who they are, you have to listen. Antifa, where do we even begin with that? An anti-fascist movement that is completely fascist in its techniques. It literally is the American ISIS, less the Islam. And it really gets me concerned about what we're tolerating in this country. There are cities that have been burned and destroyed, and we're told by the mainstream media that it's mostly peaceful. Meanwhile, many people have died. I think the statistic that came out was that 93% of the protests that happened over the summer in 2020 were peaceful. 93%. Well, that's great. That means 7% weren't. 7% meant that there were billions of dollars of property damage, people's lives destroyed, and some people were killed. Some people were targeted for their race or their sexual orientation. And this is all on tape. This is all on video. We can see it. It's not somebody sitting in a park ranting. It's actual fact. So the question is, what are we working for? What are those folks working for? Well, from what I'm seeing and the experiences that I've had, and I've traveled all around the world, I've been to 48 of the 50 states, I see a movement that's happening here that is destructive and antithetical to the American system. I'm not a big supporter of the American government in its current form because I think it's corrupt and it doesn't work for you or me. Republican or Democrat doesn't matter. Both are oriented and have been taking away citizens' rights for a long time. And we need to stop the noise and understand that we as American people are more alike than we are separate. And we need to get together on that fact. We need to understand that we have very specific rights that are guaranteed to us under the Constitution of the United States. They're clearly outlined in terms of what are our God-given rights, what the government can and cannot do, and where that power resides. It resides with us, the people. The people of the United States are sovereign, and we should not sit back and allow governmental bureaucrats, politicians, to take away our rights in the name and under the banner of fear. We are being manipulated by fear. Fear of each other, fear of a virus that is microscopic, that we're told we can fight with a little handmade mask. People, when I was in the service, when we were concerned about nuclear, biological, and chemical threats, I wore a suit, a hazmat suit of sorts, with a specific gas, with a mask that had a container on it with a filter. But I'm told that an equally dangerous virus is contained by a bandana. Now, if you have a brain in your head, you got to figure out that that is simply not true. It's just not true. It's political theater. And it's done as virtue signaling, and we need to stop it. I'm not saying that there is not a problem with this, with the CV-19, but there is a limitation to the social control. As I speak tonight, I understand that President Trump has now contracted this ailment, and we're going to find out what kind of twist into the election this throws, and like kind of a monkey wrench into this election process, which has been a catastrophe of epic proportions. We have two bozos up there, and we have a man that is completely morally corrupt, who is a failed businessman, that is portrayed as some savior to American values. And while I do very much respect the fact that he hasn't brought us into a war, and he hasn't done anything actively in any way, shape, or form to take away my right to bear arms, and he's been really good about appointing judges, how does a three-time married man who cheats on every single wife, pays off porn stars, how is it that this person is considered an ethical, moral leader by anyone? I just don't see how that computes. Or conversely, how does the author of the crime bill, a man who eulogized a KKK Grand Cyclops, Senator Byrd, a man who's been in the Congress, in the Senate, for 47 years, how is he seen as the savior to people, to black people in particular? There are pockets of poverty, and that there are black people that live, and they're embroiled in the quote-unquote drug war, another war on the American people, this sort of euphemism, the war on poverty, the war on drugs. These are wars on American people, and I am just sick of it. So I want to tell you, as I create this channel, as I create this communication with you, that I want to help you get some of the skills you might need to navigate all that. Now, there are lots of YouTube channels on prepping and on gun handling and all of that. There's wonderful, wonderful resources. But what they tend to be is a little bit on one side of the spectrum or other in terms of politics, and I'm just done with it. We need to talk to each other. Period. I am so sick of this polarization. I am done with the tribalism. I'm done with the political correct speak. I'm done with the obvious manipulation of us by mainstream media, by politicians. It is absurd. I'm done with it. And so maybe as a result of some of my experiences in the military, in business, I have a lot of interest and activity in agriculture and food production, food sovereignty and food security, self-reliance, and yeah, some philosophy as well. Maybe we can sort this out together here. Maybe we can figure it out. I'm asking you to become part of a community. I'd like you to hit the thumbs up button, leave some comments, because I definitely want to hear some dialogue. I absolutely want to hear from you. Subscribe and share it with friends of yours that you think might be of like mind, because I really would like to create a community of people that we can somehow get some sanity in this process. But maybe through this channel, through this communication, we can network with each other and build a community, build a militia. We are the militia. We are citizens of a country, a wonderful country, a country that's blessed in so many ways with natural resources and up until now, a relatively stable government. And diversity. Yes, diversity. My grandparents came from Europe, Northern Europe, Spain. You know, I'm probably just like you. You have a mixed background as well. But I'm so sick of the racist accusations and anti-Semitism that I hear pop up here and there. And it's just making me nuts. I just want to be left alone, to live in peace with my family, have my garden, do my things that are fun on the weekends, and live in peace and know that I can hand it off to my kids. But I will say here for sure that if things continue the way they are, we need to band together and we need to change it. And if it means putting on armor plates, a plate carrier, to take care of business, then we're going to do that. But we have a lot of steps we can take before that happens. But I will gladly do that if it means that my kids don't have to do that. I'll gladly lay down my life to do that if it means that my children can live in a peaceful society. Maybe there'll be controversies, but not the conflict and the lack of safety and the lack of trust in one's neighbor. We are fighting fear. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Well, that's true to a certain extent. Fear is definitely on the menu. But we also have to worry about overstepping politicians and people with an agenda who are willing to trade our freedom in for their benefit. And we're going to end this and work for something better than we had before the CV-19 started up. So I hope you'll join me. Please do. This is my introductory video. There'll be more. There'll be lots of practical stuff that we need to talk about. This is my introduction. I hope you'll join me on the journey. Again, thumbs up, subscribe, comment for sure, share it out. Touch freedom. Together, we're going to make a Touch Freedom Militia. You're part of it. If you're listening to it, you're part of the solution. So let's gear up and get it done.